Hi guys! So this is the first episode in this new series that I'm going to be doing, and it's going to be all about money. I have been waiting to do this video for so long, but I've been trying to figure out the right approach to kind of go about doing this, and I wanted to think it all out. So I'm so excited to share with you guys how to kind of go about budgeting, how to go about managing your money, and how to go about living life while being able to do all this and be educated on money. So if you guys are interested, stay tuned, make sure to subscribe so you can catch all of the goodies.
So the first thing we're going to do is open up Google Drive. This is where I'm choosing to do my Excel budget sheet because I can access it from anywhere. So you can choose to use just regular Excel in your computer, but I'm going to do it this way so I can access it wherever I go. You open up an Excel spreadsheet, and I'm just titling this 2018 monthly budget. And in here I'm going to put the different buckets that I'm going to have. A budget consists of income minus expenses, which equals out to your net total. So when I say income, this means not how much you're supposed to earn, but how much you actually get in hand for you to spend. And this means after taxes, after your deductions, whatever it is that you actually get in hand to spend. So I'm going to use an example of getting paid twice a month. Some people get paid once a month. Some people get paid once a week. So just kind of put it to whatever it is that you need to do to make it work for your monthly schedule. On here, I'm actually adding a side hustle. I just want to kind of get people's brains moving about the extra things that you can actually do to make some extra money. So you can always sell your stuff online, do a yard sale, dog walk, be a virtual assistant. There's tons of little things that you can do to actually earn that extra paycheck. So you can actually put that on there if you do have that. What I would recommend though, if you do have that, is to think of that money as just extra money. It's just something that you're going to put into savings, something that you're going to put specifically to one specific category, and that way you're not thinking that you have all this extra side hustle money when you actually don't get it every single month. Now, expenses, I'm putting into different buckets. I'm going to start off with my fixed expenses. This is going to have your rent, mortgage, utilities. I lumped all my utilities into one line. You can break it out if you want to. I put cell phone and gas for your car. I'm also going to break down by person because I feel like this helps you kind of see what each person spends, what each person's needs are. If you have a pet, I would put that pet on here so you know exactly what their spending is and what they need. So if they need to go to the vet, get some food, whatever it is, you can put that in here. So for kids, I'm just putting the usual things like tuition, babysitter. Of course, put the expenses that you need to put in. Now, the third bucket of expenses is variable expenses. These are basically things where you're flexible in the amount of how much you're spending on this expense. So, for example, groceries, you can actually spend $10 a month on groceries or $100 a month on groceries. Now, I know it's going to be really hard for $10, but you could actually do it. So, this is something where you can kind of gauge to see how much you have, where you're at, and kind of figure out to spend within your means. I'm just going to put some extra fun things on here like eating out, fun money, grooming, and cable, Netflix, of course, and just any other subscriptions that you might have. And I just kind of put all these things on here so you kind of have an idea of what it is. Obviously, once again, this is just a sample just so you know what goes into a budget, income minus expenses equaling your total, so you can actually just customize it to whatever it is that you need because each person is so unique in this situation with how they spend, how much money they're making, what their goals are, what their lifestyle is, what the circumstances are. So just make it work for you. But this is the gist and the bare bones skeleton of what a budget is comprised of. Now the next section is going to be your savings. I'm going to put here that any debt, you want to pay that off first because you don't want to be accumulating that nasty interest. That rolls up to be so much and you don't want to be stuck with that. So I'm going to put here I have $5,000 total in debt and my goal is to pay it off by the end of the year. And the same thing with my emergency savings. I can't do maybe 1,000, but I'm gonna do 500. That's my goal. I want to at least have some emergency cash savings on hand in case something happens. I don't want to dump all my money into my debt. And let's say if my car breaks down, I can't afford that and I'm going to have to go into more debt to pay for it. So you want to kind of do these simultaneously to have some emergency savings and have some debt paid off. Now I'm just going to do a quick formula to total everything up. I'm highlighting it just so it's easier to look at on the eyes. You can make it prettier based on what you like, but I like to keep it simple, so just highlighting the things that I want to look at. So I'm just totaling up the total number of my total income, the total number for my expenses, and you'll see I put on the side there next to expenses 70%, and then 30% next to savings. And the reason why I did that is that there is a 70-30 rule that I kind of follow. And the way I try to do this is to say, I'm going to spend 70% of my income on expenses, meaning within its fixed, kids, variable, whatever. It's all going in that 70% bucket. The 30% I'm going to use for savings. Now, if I have debt, obviously most of that will go towards debt. If I'm trying to save for something, that's going to go into there. But if I have investments, that goes in there too. But I'm trying to kind of stick to those ranges. So now you'll see here, I'm just calculating out to see what 70% looks like off of a $4,600 budget, income, I mean. So that comes out to $3,220. If I were to save, I should be saving $1,300. And now here I go. I'm just going to plot in these numbers. It doesn't really mean exact numbers. Again, this is just a sample budget. Depending on where you live, what your lifestyle is, what type of needs you have, you're obviously going to have different numbers, way different numbers if you're not living in, let's say, big, high spending states such as California or New York or Florida. You're going to have much lower numbers probably, but here in California, these are just kind of sample rates, and obviously they're flexible depending on where you live, what you do, and what you want to spend on. And you'll see in here that I kind of put formulas. For the utilities, I just added them all together by using a simple formula, using the equal sign, the amount plus whatever amount, and that'll formulate out to whatever total that you need by adding those numbers together. The gas is going to be the same thing. I'm just assuming that it is $60 per week. There's 52 weeks in a year, and I'm going to divide that by 12 months. So that way I get a per month usage of gas. And then for everything else, it's really just based on sample amounts I'm putting in. You'll see for groceries, I usually like to stick to about $100 a person per month, but I definitely go over that myself, so I like to add in a cushion. So in here, in this example, I just put in 50 bucks, but I also have a section for eating out too, so that is in addition to that $50 cushion that I put in there for groceries. And I have fun money, everyone needs to have some fun. I have my grooming in here where, that's kind of like a luxury treatment depending on what it is I have to do. So you'll kind of get an idea. You put in your expenses and your income based on your life. And I just want to explain for this savings now. So savings is something that people don't really do, but I want to explain it. I think that the first thing that you want to do to try to calculate out how much you need is to figure out how much you want to pay, what your goal is. My goal is to pay off all my debt of the $5,000 and to save $500 for my emergency savings, and this is by the end of the year. So how I'm doing this is trying to figure out how many pay dates I get. I'm going to get paid twice a month, and these are the dates that I'm going to get paid on. And out of that, there's a total of 10 pay dates, and that's in a total of 5 months. So the way I'm going to calculate this is I'm going to say, well, out of the $5,000 debt, I'm going to have 5 months that I'm going to want to save this money for, because again, this is a monthly budget. So I'm going to take 5,000 divided by the 5 months, and that gives me $1,000 to use or to save to play against my debt. And then now you see the next thing is going to be my emergency savings. I'm going to pretty much apply that same concept, which is going to be the $500 divided by the 5 months. And that's going to give me $100 a month. So this will give me a total of $5,000 by the end of the year and $500 by the end of the year, which means that I'll be able to meet those goals. But you'll see that my net total is now a negative number. We don't want that to be negative because that means that we are spending more than we actually are earning. That means we will be in debt. So we don't want to do that. Never, never, never a negative. So we want it to be 0 at the end because obviously at this point I don't think we'll have any extra money. So what I want to do now is pretty much go back through my expenses because we know the income's not changing. We know our fixed expenses are set, and our everything else we need to figure out, well, what can we change and what do we have to actually keep. Tuition obviously is something that is fixed. You can't change it. If you can, great, but usually you can't change that. Some of these other things like a babysitter, school supplies, classes, it depends on your situation. So I'm just going to say it's fixed, but it depends on your situation. Sometimes you don't need to enroll them in that swim class or that dance class. You can probably just take them out of it and enroll them next year when you have more money. Diapers are obviously fixed. Clothes are obviously fixed. Toys I'm going to leave there because we know that that's not a fixed item. It's a variable item. Now, most of the money cutting we're going to do out of this variable expenses section. So this means that, let's say, my cable. I'm going to cancel that. I'm going to say, you know what? I have Netflix. So I'm going to try that out without any cable. And if I ever want it again, I can add it back in. But I'm going to take it out for now because I cannot afford it. So that's going to go to 0. And when I do that, now it brings me down to $5 too little. So I'm going to need to cut out $5 more. So I'm actually just going to cut out this other subscription for $15. I'm canceling that out and I actually get $10 extra now. See, so something so simple like that, I'm going to get an extra $10. Now, what am I going to use that for? Well, I'm thinking about maybe going to the zoo with my kid. So I'm going to actually say, you know what? I'm going to save $10 a month to go to the zoo at the end of the year when the kids are on the winter break. And I'm going to use that for the zoo trip tickets because, we know all the other stuff is already accounted for. So let's just plan out this trip to have something to look forward to. So I'm going to say, okay, I'm going to save $10 a month. And during winter break at December, I'm going to save $50 to use for our tickets for the zoo. And now that brings us to a net total of 0. And that means we are all done for our budget. And I look at it again to make sure that everything kind of makes sense. It's how much I want to spend and how much I want to, allocate to each specific thing. And what I'm going to do now is kind of look and see how much in actual savings I'm allocating and how much in actual expenses I'm spending. So based on the little calculation I'm doing, it ends up to be about 25% in savings and about 75% in actual expenses. And I know we said so 75% actual expenses and 25% in savings. And I know we were saying like 70-30, so that's the ideal, but the 5% really, I'm okay with that. I think that we should be flexible. This is something where, it's really up to you to see how aggressive you want to be, whether you want to save more money or if you want to actually live life a little. And everyone has their own time. So there may be some months, some years where you're just really cracked down and you don't have that money to spend. And so you're going to do no fun at all. Or you're going to have a lot more fun and schedule these things out and plan for them and be able to have that fun. Or you'll kind of be in the middle where most of the time you're not doing anything, but you'll have that one thing that you splurge on. So this really helps you kind of figure out what is important to keep and what is important to kind of change and think through. So having a savings, I really want to emphasize this because this is really important. By having a savings, you want to make sure that you're paying off your debt first. If you have a high amount of debt, make sure you're working on that because the interest on having debt is so high. So you want to make sure that you're working off that debt. And in addition to that, you want to save a little bit for an emergency fund. If you can't do $1,000, do $500 first and then make up the other $500 next year. But you want to make sure that you have this money there and do it at the same time because let's say you're paying off all your debt aggressively and you're not having any cash savings. Let's say if your car breaks down, what are you going to do? You're going to end up putting that on your credit card and you're going to pay debt for that car. So you want to make sure you have something on hand so in case something happens, you won't be in additional debt. Now, the second step in savings is, I would say, invest some money into a Roth IRA or 401k through your work. Now, I want to say this is really personal to each person, so make sure that you kind of research this based on what your goals are in life and figure out what works for you. And then on top of that, I would want to make sure you save 3 to 6 months, 6 to 9 months, 9 to 12 months of expenses. And that way you'll have that for a rainy day in case something happened. Like, let's say you have no more income coming in for some reason. If you lost your job, then you know that you have some money there as backup and you can always save that. So in this example here, if I calculate all my expenses, your fixed expenses, your kids, your variable expenses, it's about $34.90 a month. So you can always adjust this because, again, if you lost your job, you probably wouldn't be, having any fun money or anything like that. You'll really, really crack down. So this will always change, but you have a good idea of where you're starting at least. So the third step I would say for savings is to save for a goal of something that you want. This can be anything from buying that car that you want, going on that vacation, having a repair done, or buying a house. So these are the things that you can actually do, but you can see exactly how much you need and calculate it out. Do the math, and that way it saves you the headache of trying to play catch up of figuring out math of how much you owe in interest and how much you owe in debt. Now, having a budget. Some things that I want to really mention is that having a budget is going to help you ensure that you stay within the means and not go into debt or more debt. And that's so important because you don't want to add on more to what you already have if it's in expenses or debt. And the second thing is to help you achieve your goals based on the priorities in your life. And this is probably what I would say to do first before even starting this whole thing. Before starting your budget, figure out what your priorities are in life, and that way you can align this all to your priorities. Now, the third thing is that it helps you see a big picture view of where your money is going so you can see what you really want your money to do. This way you can tell your money where it goes versus you trying to figure out, well, how much money do I have left to kind of use for certain things. You're in charge of your money. And the fourth thing, this is going to help you prepare for emergencies by knowing exactly how much you spend and how much you earn. So again, we know we spend about $32.20 on expenses. The rest we're putting it either towards savings or debt, which is about $13.80, and then you have about your $4,600, which is for your income. So you know exactly how much you're coming in and how much is going out. And the next thing is going to be based on this test budget without cutting out life and living and fun, because you see here we still have fun money in here. We have $100 in fun money and we still have our grooming. We have little things like that to keep us going. You're able to do everything in moderation and pay off all your debt and save $500 in emergency savings. And if you really wanted to get aggressive, you could cut out some more things and probably save your whole $1,000 in emergency savings. How awesome is that? And in addition to this, you even added a zoo trip to your whole entire budget. I mean, this is awesome. So stick to what you're doing and continue it. Keep moving forward. If you have a little hiccup and you spend over something, adjust it. Just go back to this template and adjust it. The thing to remember with budgets is that it's not here to torture you. It's really here to help you see how you figure this stuff out. Because without knowing exactly where your numbers are, you'll never really get to a better end result unless you win the lotto or something where you have tons of money and you can just clear out all the debt that you have and all the expenses that you need to pay. Thank you guys so much for watching. I hope you guys enjoyed the first video of this budget series. Please subscribe if you guys want to see more, and also comment down below if you enjoyed this and if there's any tips that you have on how you do your budget. Obviously, if you could give me a thumbs up, this will be awesome and keep me going and knowing that you guys actually enjoy my videos. That'll be great. I hope to talk to you guys soon, and remember to subscribe for the next series of videos. Bye guys! I'm waving, but you can't see me. Okay, bye.